Awesome. And we are going to start. So go ahead, Marty.
Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Japanese for Libraries 2025. We are calling this Language, Culture, Community, and Connection. Um, so let's get started. Gonna start by saying that the University of Alberta operates on lands that are now part of Treaties 6, 7, and 8, as well as across many Métis districts. And these lands have been the traditional homes of the Nehia, Nakota, Dene, Niitsitapi, Anishinaabe, and Haudenosaunee people since time immemorial, and they're also the home of the Métis Nation. So there are also a lot of languages traditionally spoken on these lands, and we're talking about language today. So language holds a lot of knowledge and culture in it, and in Canada, through especially the Indian Act and residential schools, Canada's made attempts to erase Indigenous languages as an act of cultural genocide. So, as treaty people, I think it's our responsibility to support Indigenous-led language revitalization, and I just want to encourage everybody at the outset to, increase our support of Indigenous languages as well as like the languages that we're learning. And I've linked just an article about Indigenous language revitalization and the UAL guide to teaching First Nations, Métis, and Inuit languages. And we've got some great language revitalization stuff here, which is important. So jumping in.
All right. So, like I said a little bit earlier, this session is going to be a little bit different than last year in that I would really encourage people to have their webcams on. And if there's some prompts to practice speaking, if you want to try speaking some Japanese, that would be awesome. Because language is about practicing, making mistakes, I know it's going to be a little out there sometimes for people's comfort zones, but don't feel silly. Effort is super amazing, and I'm proud of you even showing up to come and learn today. So hello or konnichiwa. My name is Kate Wilson, or I can also go by Caitlin Wilson, though I do prefer Kate. I am an information services specialist at Augustana Library down in Camrose. And Laurel, she's also my lovely coworker down in Camrose as well. She's attending today. I have been learning Japanese as a hobby since 2023. And in that time, I've also learned enough to feel brave enough to share what I learn with lovely library community. If you have any questions, you can shoot me an email there at my email, kwilson1@ualberta.ca. So why learn a language? So just a little clip here from a lovely article talking about language learning and its benefits. So of course, it improves your cognitive abilities, it improves your aging and health, increases employability chances, helps with academic achievement, communication, and intercultural competence, and enhanced creativity. And I just have some popular tourist destinations in Japan here. So you have Shibuya Crossing, Tokyo Tower, Sensoji Temple, and Akihabara. And of course, this relates to the larger plan with the University of Alberta, in particular the Student Experience Action Plan, which is all about relationships, connections, and belonging. And that's really what this whole session is about today. It's about the importance of learning language for connection and community. So there's a little quote here from the Student Experience Action Plan. It says, "Together we nurture experiences where students explore and expand their knowledge, skills, and networks, connecting with local and global communities to act with purpose."
Okay, now I will introduce myself, and as a challenge to myself, because I haven't spoken Japanese in quite a while, I wanted to introduce myself in Japanese. So you will hear a little bit more. Konnichiwa, hajimemashite, Marty です。日本語と宗教学の学士で MLIS も持っています。今はカメロン図書館の5階で勤めています。子供から日本語を勉強していて、留学生として山梨県の鶴大学で勉強しました。実は日本語を使うのが久しぶりです。今の日本語レベルはよくわからないけれど、JLPT の N3 が受かりました。So all that to say, I've done my undergrad. Oh, did I just go backwards?
Nope, that's me. I was going
Oh,
back
okay.
so that people could read it.
Okay, so next slide, I guess.
Okay, this one,
Um,
or do you want me to go forward again?
Yeah, forward, please. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, so all that to say, I've done my undergraduate education in Japanese, and as a graduate, I do feel I need to weigh in that, when you're learning Japanese, especially at the UAL libraries, among CJK languages, so Chinese, Japanese, and Korean, Chinese and Korean are much more common in terms of the languages spoken by the people who go to the U of A. And when you meet people who speak Japanese, because they learn English in school, often their Japanese will be, like their English will be better than your Japanese. So, like, it's not always the case that you get to use that language skill very well. And sadly, since I graduated, I haven't used Japanese very much. It's kind of a niche skill that, like, once you finish, you either go into translation or you work in Japan. So that's kind of its own challenge. But I do not regret learning Japanese, and I will give you three reasons why. The first one is that Japanese, because it is a niche skill, is very useful when people are curious about it. And a caveat that I want to put with that is that, both of us who are doing this presentation are not native speakers. We're also not Japanese Canadian. And so, you have blind spots when this isn't your culture or language of heritage. And it's always important to defer to those experts because, especially when you're like a white settler, there's reasons that people see you as like more qualified than you are to talk about this. So we don't know everything. And I just want to credit like, I studied with Japanese Canadian kids and teachers growing up, and, a lot of East Asian scholars taught me what I know. So I credit that education. But the second reason I'm glad that I learned Japanese is because it allowed me to learn kanji, which is a Chinese writing system, at a really like kind of steady pace instead of having to learn it all at once. Because Japanese isn't all kanji, but it uses some kanji. So that really helps me when I work with Chinese materials. And it also, learning Japanese helped me understand romanization and transliteration really well, which is important to know when you're searching and navigating titles in other languages. And if you went to Chang's really great presentation on Tuesday, you'll know that like romanization can be really difficult. And like if you know the language, it helps a lot. Um, okay. So the third reason is that when you do actually encounter a Japanese speaker who does actually benefit from the language that you know, that is incredibly rewarding. You make an instant human connection, and often people will just become your friend immediately when they hear you speak their language. And that's a good argument for learning literally any language. Like, there's never a situation where that won't help you. So I wanted to ask the class either on mic or in the chat. What languages do people know, and what languages are people learning? And possibly, do we have any like wish list languages? I've listed some of mine that I would like to learn if I had the time. Oh, and thank you very much, Kim. Um, we know Finnish curse words.
Nice. Anyone else? Any wish list languages? In a perfect world, what would you
I
want to speak?
I would like to be able to speak French. I can read a bit of French, but I wish I could speak it better. And
Fluent.
Japanese and Japanese.
Nice.
Oh, Italian.
Greek. Very cool.
Oh, Erica, you're doing Queer ESL. That's really cool. They
Oh,
they
that's
do they
awesome.
do those classes online. I would like to learn ASL, so I hope to do that at some point.
Megan wishes she was better at French. Yep.
Lots of people wish they were better at French. I'm one of them. I read in French pretty well, but
Yeah,
very
French is the
cool.
popular one here, which makes sense
Yeah.
considering where we live.
And a lot of us had the education too, and like, we
That's
didn't
true.
even.
Spanish classes 25 years ago. Hey, that still counts. Still want to learn? That's good. Awesome. All right. Let's move on forward. Okay. Oh, and Ian also wants to learn French as well.
Oh, and Ian's heading to Japan in March. Very
Oh,
fun.
nice. That's awesome. Congrats, Ian. So again, here in the presentation, just a little review, of course, for anyone that wants to look back on last year's Japanese presentation. You can search it on YouTube by searching Ualberta Spring Training 2024. So I have a couple of slides here where we're just doing a quick recap on last year. So I have a slide that has question marks saying, hey, do you remember what this is? So you guys can kind of pick your brains and think about it. And then on the second slide, I will show the answer to you. So do we remember from last year? How do we say hello in Japanese? How do we say my name is in Japanese? How do we say yes, no? Do we remember the numbers 1 to 5? Do we remember the primary location of Japanese materials? And do we remember what the call number of Japanese materials begins with? So your answers, the introduction for hello, konnichiwa, watashi wa name desu. So watashi wa Kate desu. Hi is yes, ie is no. Numbers for 1 to 5, ichi, ni, san, shi, go. And Japanese materials are primarily located at Rutherford on the 4th floor with the call number of PL. And then same idea for this next slide. We have a little review, and then the next slide will show the answers to these questions. So hiragana is one of what number of writing systems? And underneath that, you have what the characters look like in hiragana. Romaji, what is romaji? And a reminder that we use romaji and hiragana in our session. And what is the JLPT and where is it specifically hosted in Edmonton? So hiragana, one of 3 writing systems. Romaji, if you could remember from last year, it's like the English speaker's cheat sheet. So you can look at the characters that are on that first white block, and maybe it looks unfamiliar if you don't have any background knowledge of Japanese. But when you look at the second block, you can read konnichiwa. So even if you don't know Japanese, Romaji lets you sound out what the characters are saying. And the JLPT is the Japanese Language Proficiency Test, and it's hosted at North Campus. And again, little review from last year, Japanese sentence structure is backwards to English. So we have a great picture here that basically highlights for English speakers that Japanese sentence structure kind of works how Yoda from Star Wars would speak. So for example, you have it is a cat, but in Japanese, it would be more like cat, it is. And then you have other examples, such as sleepy I am, why sad are you? So you would consider it as in English, we have subject plus verb plus object, like Tom is eating the steak. And in Japanese, you have subject plus object plus verb, like Tom, the steak is eating. So learning can be stressful. So when can you recall learning something that was really challenging? And how did you feel when you completed the task? Maybe it was a university assignment, maybe a new recipe, maybe you're crafting something new. But a bonus is that learning can also be fulfilling. So when you conquer a new task, you get to create, you get to teach the skill, and you get to join a community of like-minded enthusiasts. Oh, Marty, I think you're muted there.
Oh,
There you
okay,
go.
there we go. So the way that Kate has framed this, I did not write this slide. Kate has framed this as, remember when Kate lied to you last year, which isn't how I would frame it. But last year, Kate did say, when we were talking about floors of the library, that yuka was the word for floor, which is technically true. But yuka means the floor of a room, whereas when you're talking about first floor, second floor, third floor, you use a counter. So a correction from last year is that the word for the 4th floor would be yonkai. And it's also not she, it's yon, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later. But the reason that we brought up Kate lying to you is that we want to stress that like mistakes are, as Kate says, beautiful accidents. And, like really essential to the language learning process. I like to say that mistakes are awesome and you should be excited to make a mistake because it means that you get to learn something correctly instead of, fossilizing something incorrect. And the biggest barrier for me right now with my level of Japanese is that sometimes Japanese speakers don't correct me when I say something wrong, because they think if they can understand me enough, then, we don't need to talk about it. But that means that my language skills plateau and I don't get to a level of greater fluency. So it's really important to like ask for feedback and take it. Um, we also are going to learn something new thanks to this beautiful accident. So we learned before ichi, ni, san, shi, go as the way to count, but it's actually yonkai when we say fourth floor and not shikai. And why is that? And the reason is actually kind of supernatural. Um, in Japanese, she can be written with many kanji, but two of the kanji that say she are the word for and the word for death. So because the word for four and the word for death are both she, often people avoid the number four in Japanese because it's associated with death and that's considered a bad omen. And China and Korea, this is also common there. It's sometimes called tetraphobia. It's sort of a very culturally pervasive like avoidance or fear of the number four. So it's kind of ironic that a lot of our Japanese materials are on the fourth floor because in Japan a lot of buildings don't have fourth floors, and so a Japanese Rutherford might just have floor three and floor five. But a fourth floor is a great setting for a Japanese ghost story. So speaking of ghost stories, we're doing a 5-minute Japanese culture break. In my undergrad, I studied Japanese monsters. That was the topic of my honors. And so the one I want to talk about today is kappa. These are kind of like frog, turtle things that have like bald spots on their head, and they're very famous. You probably have seen them in like Animal Crossing or anime or whatever. They're also called Children of the River, so they're funny, but they're also dangerous. They actually drown human children famously. So if you meet one, you kind of have to have your wits about you, and the way you defeat it is by bowing to it because it has this dish of water on top of its head. And when it bows back to you, the water will spill out, and then the water kind of like holds all of its power. So like it'll be incapacitated, and then you can escape. Um, so there are a lot of funny stories about kappa. And kappamaki, which is the cucumber roll, which I am a big fan of, is named after kappa because they really like cucumber. So saying that, I'm wondering, either in the chat or on mic, do any of you know any Japanese ghost or monster tales, or are there any monsters from your cultural background or that you've heard of that you find interesting? I think Pokemon counts, like I think if you play Pokemon, a lot of those are actually yokai. So, oh, Eric's got something that's not precisely a monster. Ah, Ian sent the Tengu emoji.
Oh,
A broken specter. A Brocken specter.
interesting.
Interesting. What is the origin of the Brocken specter? Ian raises an interesting point because a lot of the emojis, because emojis are like largely Japanese, it's actually a Japanese word, emoji, and it means like picture word. Um, a lot of emojis are like kind of Japanese culture based. So like there's a Tengu emoji. There's a lot of emojis that are about like Japanese holidays. Um, well, I'm gonna have to look up a Brocken specter later.
Same. All right. We'll keep on rocking. Okay, so for this here, oh,
Oh.
Eric, he says it's an optical illusion cast when an observer casts a magnified shadow on clouds or a landscape and
And
sees
sees
a
a
giant.
giant.
That's super cool.
Very cool.
I'm going to search that up later. All right, so just like last year, how I had taught some Japanese vocabulary using a little bit of a narrative, a little fun story, me and Marty will also be doing a story as well for this game plan. And just like we had the character of Yuki last year, helping Kate study for the JLTT exam, Yuki is also joining in on the story with us. So at the end of this session, we're going to understand how to say library worker, and I am a library worker. And I will explain why we will not be learning library technician, how to say book, how to say university, how to say how are you and respond, how to clarify your relationship to the university, and some interesting cultural facts about Japan. So of course, just like last year, we had a little introduction of Yuki. So here is Yuki, 26-year-old Reese's enthusiast. And I say that because apparently in Japan, they do not have Reese's peanut butter cups. So as he came over to Canada to study English for a year, that is his favorite candy. He is native Japanese and he's actually living in Camrose, just like where I'm at Augustana. So me and Yuki get to do a really fun Japanese and English language and culture exchange. He also loves soccer and Stranger Things. So of course, I'm going to pass it on to Marty here.
Okay, so we're going to join Yuki, Kate, and Marty on their trip to Japan. And we will be learning some vocabulary. I am represented by the little bear with glasses, by the way. That is me.
So Yuki showed Kate where he went to university.
He said, ここは大学です。大学です。
Kate was so excited she could die. She yelled out, "Gah! So cool!" aka Daigaku, which means university. Yuki told Kate about his time as a sociology student.
私は学生でした。学生でした。
Kate was so excited, she yelled again, "Gah! So cool! Say more." Gakusei. And so now we have another Japanese culture break. So this is a little video that is focusing on a festival called Seiji no Hi. It is a celebration of adulthood in Japan where one can legally smoke, drink, and vote. So many university students will turn 20 during their studies and celebrate this event. Pretty similar to how in Alberta, when you turn 18, you can drink and you can vote. So I'm going to press play on the video here, and if you guys could just give a thumbs up in the chat if it's working for you, that would be awesome. Oh,
I don't think we have
no
volume,
sound.
Kate.
No sound. Okay. One moment here. Sorry about this, guys. Just a second. We're going to figure this out. Can you hear it? It's playing in my ears. So then, their computer mode? Yeah, try that. Okay, I'm going to hit play, guys, and you let me know if you can hear it. Okay, I'm going to restart here. Awesome. Thank you, Janelle.
Japan goes. 皆さんこんにちは、ちかです。Hey guys, it's Chika. Welcome to the Japan Goes channel. Today is January 12th, 2015, and I am at the coming of age ceremony in Shibuya. 今日は渋谷の成人式に来ています。
Coming of age
Age Day, or Seijin no Hi, is held every year on the second Monday of January to celebrate new adults. Those who have turned 20 or are turning 20 in the current school year gather for Seijin Shiki, the coming of age ceremony. It's like a graduation, graduating from childhood and entering adulthood. But more than anything, it's a modern-day kimono fashion show. The girls, or women excuse me, were absolutely gorgeous in their furisode kimonos. Furisode are kimonos with long sleeves like this, originally worn by unmarried women. Nowadays, there are no strict rules, so you can be older and or married and still wear a furisode, but it's kind of a symbol of Seijin no Hi and a style often worn by younger women. Back in the Edo period, we didn't have wedding rings to show marital status, we had furisode. We also had ohaguro, dyeing your teeth black after marriage, and hikimayu, shaving your eyebrows off after marriage. Thank goodness we don't have those traditions anymore. Some girls get a brand new furisode for this event, but some wear the furisode that their mothers wore to their seijin shiki.
お母さんの着物で
そうなんですね。すごい綺麗。お母さんなのに全然今でも。
そうなんです
ね。
お気に入りです。
おめでとうございます。As for the guys, most wear suits and ties, but some take full advantage of this opportunity to sport a hakama, a pants-style kimono.
まあ今日しか着れないなって、やっぱ一緒に一回は着たいなって、それでこれ今日からさせていただきました。
かっこいいです。I personally think that all guys should wear it. I got a press pass and got to sit in for the first half of the ceremony. The ceremonies are organized by region or city, and you go to the one of your hometown or where you went to middle school, since most kids commute outside of town for high school. The orchestra up there is playing Let It Go, of course. With speeches by the mayor, members of the ward assembly, a few representative new adults, it's just like a graduation ceremony.
僕たちもいよいよ大人の仲間入りをさせていただきます。これからは自分の言動に責任を持ち、少しでも人のお役に立てる存在となって社会に貢献できるように努力してまいります。
成人を迎える今日、私は私を支えてくれたみんなにこの場を借りて感謝の言葉を伝えたいです。ありがとうございました。
So what does becoming an adult entail? So being 20 here in Japan is a big deal because now you're legal basically in every aspect. You can drink, you can smoke, you can vote. Whether you choose to do those things or not is up to you, but you have that choice now that you're an adult and you're legal and you're able to make your own decisions.
ちゃんとしなきゃなってちゃんと
やっぱお酒が飲めるんでこれからこうしようとか After the Seijin Shiki, many of the new adults, or Shin-seijin, will have reunions with their old classmates, go drinking with friends, go drinking with their parents, or go visit a nearby shrine or temple. Alright guys, so there you have it. That is what a coming of age ceremony is like in Japan. There are lots of ceremonies throughout the country, so this is just one of them. I never got to experience Seijin Shiki or Seijin no Hi myself when I was 20, so I kind of was able to relive the moment through everyone here. It was really great. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys again soon. What's the legal age in your country? And do you have celebrations and ceremonies like this? Let me know in the comments.
So there you go. That is Seijin no Hi. Whoop. All right, so we're going to continue on with our story. So Yuki showed Kate where the book collection is.
これは本です。
So Kate laughed a very stereotypical French laugh. Home, home, home. Books. That is how you say book in Japanese. Home. So now we have two different questions that Marty's going to ask you.
All right, double quiz time. Question 1. Answer in the chat if you dare. How would you say in English, but with a Japanese sentence structure? Where are the books? How would you ask this? Perhaps as if Yoda-san was asking. Yes. Books, where are? Very good. And The second question, how would you say university? Is it A, 学生, B, 大学, or C, 成人? Any guesses?
Be brave, you can do it.
We've got two A's, we've got one B, we've got Ian, 大学. The B's are correct. The answer is 大学. 学生 is close. However, it is student, not university. Oh, and Kim jumped way ahead, but we're about to get there. Yeah, if we go to the next slide, I think that's where, yep. Okay, so Kim is already there. 本はどこですか? This is the question, where are the books? And with this question, we can actually even go farther and ask, where is anything? Because this sentence structure, blank wa doko desu ka, very helpful. You can use it to ask, hon wa doko desu ka? Where are the books? Daigaku wa doko desu ka? Where's the university? And you can even ask, where's a person? So, yuki wa doko desu ka? And where is and where are, it's the same question. So it doesn't matter if the thing you're asking about is singular or plural. A quiz, follow-up quiz on this. If you remember earlier in our presentation, what would I be saying if I asked you, 4階はどこですか? And the hint is that it might be a bit of a scary question for some people. Any guesses?
Where are the monsters?
Oh, close. That would be 4階はどこですか? But this is 4階. Do we remember 4階?
Where's the fourth floor?
Correct. Ian's got it. Where is the fourth floor? 4階. So, if you wanted to know, you're looking for PL. You want to look at the Japanese language section. 4階はどこですか? And then someone can show you how to get to the fourth floor.
So back with our story, Yuki, Kate, and Marty walked around the Daigaku until they found the library. And Yuki says,
これは図書館です.
So Kate says, this is totally cool. Can we go in? Yuki replied, Shokan. Sure can. AKA, the library in Japanese is Toshokan. So Yuki, Marty, and Kate walked around the Daigaku until they found the Toshokan. So Kate couldn't believe her eyes. She stuttered a question. Cool. Despite my eyes, can it be?
ここですか?
So this is where we learn about ka. So if you hear ka, you know that is the Japanese equivalent of a question mark. So in place of the question mark, they have ka.
Although sometimes they also do include a question mark. But it's like a question marker. Okay, so we know how to ask, where are the books? But what if we want to ask for a specific book? This is a specific book that people might be asking for in the library. It's called Genki. It is a elementary Japanese textbook, and Genki means like healthy or well. So if you ask, O genki desu ka? It's like, how are you doing? Or are you doing well? So if you want to find Genki, you're going to have to look in the Daigaku no Toshokan. So no is another marker that we're going to learn, and no is a possessive. So it marks, it's kind of like an apostrophe S. And so if you said Kate's coat, like in English, Kate no coat, that is like the coat belonging to Kate, right? So if we want to say the Genki book, that's like Genki no hon. So if you want to ask specifically, where are the Genki books? Or, literally where are the Genki's books? But like it's not always exact with the apostrophe S. You would ask, Genki no hon wa doko desu ka? And so with this, you can get a little more specific with what you're talking about. And my super challenge to you is, can we use this sentence structure with the no possessive to ask, where is the university's library?
Do we feel brave enough to try with chat, or do you want to use your mic?
Oh.
Whatever you guys want to do. So not asking what floor, Janelle, but just trying to think about using Japanese to say, where is, if we're going to think about it in English structure, it would be, where is the university library? But because we're going to try to use that no, it's like, where is the university's library?
And same sentence structure as, genki no hon wa doko desu ka?
Genki no hon wa doku desu ka?
So that is, where are
Yes.
the Genki books? Do we remember what the word is for library? Do we need a hint?
Yeah, I can supply the words again. I'll say again the university, daigaku, and library, hoshokan.
And I'll type it in the chat for everyone to see. So try using those words with the no particle we learned to try and write, where is the university's library?
I will reveal the answer in 5 seconds. Oh, okay. Yes. Yes, Brett. Fantastic. Absolutely. Daigaku no toshokan wa doko desu ka? So the libraries, you know, or the university, no, apostrophe S, library, wa doko desu ka? Where is it? Awesome.
Good job, Brett.
Absolute mic drop from Brett.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. So we're going to review because I know we've been throwing these vocabulary at you super fast and there's no way for you to really retain that. So we're just going to try to repeat for now. You know, this will be up here if you want to go back and review. But everybody, you know, you don't have to do it on mic, but try to repeat these words. University, daigaku, daigaku. Library, toshokan, toshokan. Student, 学生、学生。book, 本、本。here, ここ、ここ。and me or I, 私、私. And there are other ways to say me or I, by the way, but that kind of gets into a bunch of like more specific stuff that we can't do right now. So just use watashi for simplicity's sake. And we also want to review ka, which is our question marker, no, possessive, and blank wa blank des, basic structure. Eric, you have a question.
I'm noticing that the letter U kind of comes and goes, and whether or not it's pronounced harshly or whether it becomes kind of the sound of the other letter, the next letter. So can you go into that a little bit and kind of what to look for when reading these?
Yes, that's a very good question. So like technically it is pronounced gakuse. Like Japanese is like it's fully phonetic, so like you always pronounce things kind of the same way, but it's more like when you say a word kind of like fast. Like when you hear people speak, sometimes they'll drop the U just like as they're speaking because of the way the words kind of go together. So like the word is gakuse. But when people say it, sometimes they'll say it more like gakse, because they're going straight to the, and you know, there might be other like phonetic things going on because I'm not like, what is it, a philologist, a phoneticist? I'm not exactly sure which branch of linguistics that is, but like I'm not an expert in like those kind of phonetic rules. I just know that like, um, sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. That's not a very good answer. But like if it's a U after an S, that usually is more like kind of silent, like des. Like it's not people don't say desu. Um, and to be honest, now that I think about it, don't really know why. I'm sorry. This is one of those things where it's like there's kind of I think Kate almost probably is better at answering this than me because like once you get to the point of doing it without thinking, you don't realize that there are words, like there are rules, you know?
The
Like Kate,
way,
what have you found?
so like even in speaking to Yuki, because he's learning English too, sometimes in English we have the word like should. I should do that. We don't say like I should, right? Like we're not really pronouncing the L. We kind of gloss over it. Or maybe in saying, how are you doing? We don't, you could say, how are you doing? Even though you're
Yeah,
saying doing.
it's
It's
kind of
just
like saying how are you instead of how are you?
it's
Um,
just honest. I think it's like native speakers of a language, because they are native, they slip into lazy kind of habits, kind of like that. I know that's not the best answer in the world, right? Like I am still learning myself, so maybe in a year or two I could give a better answer, but I think it just comes down to being native in your language and just naturally, unconsciously smushing sounds together.
but like it is, and like Kim is mentioning that like OU thing, and like that does happen. Like when you say it's like if it's O, like a OU. People say O instead of O. But you actually are, like, if you really slow down and say the sounds one at a time very slowly, O, it actually is OU. It's just that, like, as you say it, the sounds kind of blend together and it sounds like you're saying O, like O, but you are actually kind of saying OU. So, like, I don't know. It's like people don't think about it enough to, like, really know. But yeah, listening, I would emphasize like listening to as much Japanese as you can to try to suss that kind of thing out. Because I listen to a lot of music. That's how I figured out how different words are pronounced. English is even harder than Japanese with this, so I'm kind of glad, honestly, that I'd never had to learn English pronunciation.
Yeah.
Um, okay, that is our review. And there's just a little bit more. We promise we're almost there.
All right, so now that we know these words, you can actually search for them in the library catalog using Romaji. So the example that I have here is Daigaku and Toshokan. So you can see that I've plugged it into the library catalog here, Daigaku and Toshokan. You can see the search results that have popped up, and you can see that the result here is in Romaji. There's another example here using the word gakse, which again, you could say it gakse or gakuse, but like Marty said, most Japanese speakers end up actually saying gakse. So gakse there, you can see the search results and you can see it popping up in Romaji. And so in fact, if you know a word in Japanese, but you can only write it in Romaji, you can still search it. So again, that's where Romaji, being the English speaker's cheat sheet, can really help you out. So little pop quiz question for you all. Do you remember from last year's training session what the word Nihongo means in Japanese? You can type it in the chat or you can go and speaker, whatever you're comfortable with.
It's kind of a trick question.
Yeah, it is a trick question. Any guesses? Anyone feeling brave? That's okay if you can't remember.
Oh,
Shauna, last year, I don't know what you said last slide. That's okay. We are giving you a lot of information.
another mic drop from Brett. We've
Yeah.
got Japanese. Yes, Nihongo is Japanese for Japanese.
Good job, Brett. All right, and so there you have an example in our new system. We have Alma. So you can see here in the top, I have written Nihongo. And then you can see the search results that pop up. So we have Nihongo right there for us. And as well, because we know the call number for Japanese materials, PL, in Alma, you can search by call number and using language limiters. So we have the language limiter of Japanese here, and we have the LC call number PL.
Okay, some caveats from me about searching, because as a cataloger, I have to make this more complicated for you. Um, PL is Japanese language and literature, specifically PL 501 to PL 899. The rest of it is like other East Asian languages, like not even just East Asian, it's like a lot of languages are in that class. So it's not all Japanese, and also we have Japanese materials outside of that class. So remember to also search like by language, because you know if we have a book about like chemistry, but it's in Japanese, it's not going to be in PL, it's going to be in the chemistry section. And the second thing is that when you're searching for Japanese on the next slide, sometimes you may not find it by just searching Romaji. So if you went to Chang's presentation, that's kind of what Chang's presentation on Tuesday was all about how it's really hard sometimes to find things in CJK languages in our search engine because LC has its own romanization scheme and it is not intuitive. It's not what you would think to Romanize Japanese as. So you have to reference it and make sure that like what you're typing in is the same as what LC is transliterating that Japanese into. And I have linked the East Asian Studies Guide. They have a series of videos about searching in CJK languages, and I encourage everybody to look at that if you're looking for a specific Japanese resource. Also, some of our records are just not perfect. Like some of them don't have parallel text, so they don't have like equivalent Roman letter fields for some of the Japanese characters. So there's no guarantee that you'll be able to find what you're looking for by just searching Romaji. So you should search with kanji and hiragana and katakana when you want to. And, you know, East Asian studies librarians can help you out with that. And I've tried to fix some of these myself, by the way, but the work is never done.
All right, and now we're going to finish off our story here. Kate sees a library technician with a student checking out a home. She approaches the service desk saying sumimasen, which is a very important word because it actually means excuse me, pardon me, sorry. So don't forget it when you go to Japan. It's very useful. So in finding the library technician, Yuki reminds Kate that it is called Toshokan-in. So the way that we can remember this is that we know Toshokan means library. So we can think the library technician works in or in the library. So Toshokan-in. There is no direct translation for library technician. It's more so library worker. So that's why it's Toshokan-in as library worker. So she already knows how to say I am Kate in Japanese. Watashi wa Kate desu. How do we say I am a library worker in Japanese? Watashi wa desu. You can speak it, you can chat.
Any brave souls?
There is a hint on the screen that can help you too. Correct, Carmen. Toshokan-in.
Watashi wa Toshokan-in desu. Okay, now we're gonna level up one more time. You can say not only I'm a library worker, you can actually say I am a library worker at the University of Alberta. It sounds crazy, but we can do it. We just need to know how to say University of Alberta, which we already know university, Daigaku. Oh, sorry, I was supposed to ask that as a question. Well, it's Daigaku. We know university is Daigaku, and Alberta is Arubata. So it's the same word, we're just saying it in katakana. So Arubata Daigaku is the University of Alberta, and I have proven this by showing you the Japanese Wikipedia page. So Arubata no Daigaku would be more like, it's like any university in Alberta. So like McEwen would be Arubata no Daigaku, but we work at Arubata Daigaku. So if we want to, I think this is on the next slide. Yes, if we want to say, I am a library worker at the University of Alberta, remember no. We're going to use no and we're going to say, Arubata Daigaku no toshokanin desu. Arubata Daigaku no toshokanin desu. And you'll notice that I didn't say I am. I didn't say watashi wa. In Japanese, that is often optional because if the subject is implied, you don't need to explicitly say it. So you can just say University of Alberta library worker. And that, in English, that's not a complete sentence, but in Japanese, it is. And so if you use this, someone may tell you, toshukanin desu ka? Sugoi. And sugoi is another bonus word that I want to teach you that just means like cool, awesome, very useful. Okay, so we're going to try and ask and answer scenario. Kate is going to pretend that she is a student and I am a library worker. So I'm going to ask Kate, 学生ですか?
はい、学生です。
So Kate is confirming that she is a student. And even if Kate were two students, it would be the same sentence, which is very helpful. Next scenario. In this scenario, Kate is not a student. I think Kate is a student, but Kate is actually a worker at the University of Alberta. So our conversation is going to go like, 学生ですか?
いいえ、図書館員です。
すみません. So I said sumimasen because it was rude of me to assume that she was a student. This is something that would probably happen if we were in Japan. So you'll also notice Kate didn't say watashi wa, but Kate also could have said, Ie watashi wa toshukanin desu. Would have been the same. So you've heard those two scenarios. Oh, it's time for another culture break.
So really quickly here, there is a student club that university students, high school students can take. It's Kyudo, which is archery. In war times, way back when, enemies would hear thousands of these arrow noises as the arrows flew by. So imagine being the opposing nation and hearing thousands of these arrows flying towards you. So there you go. It'd be pretty
It's actually
crazy.
the first time I heard that. That's crazy.
Pretty cool. So yeah, that's one of the student clubs that they can do as an extra activity with Japanese school. And then you can see here, Marty has made a graph for us.
Yes, this is a graph that will help us. This is our kind of final bring it all together slide. We're going to try to answer this question with this flow chart. The question is, gakusei desu ka? If someone asks you, gakusei desu ka? You can answer this. You can role play as a student if you want in your answer, or you can answer truthfully and say that you're a library worker. Everybody, I want to see if we can try typing or saying our answer to this question. 学生ですか? I'm dying to know. 学生ですか?
Anyone feeling brave?
Remember, all roads lead to des. Fantastic. We've got two answers. Ie, watashi wa toshokanin desu, or just toshokanin desu. Absolutely. We've got some toshokanin.
Good work, guys. I'm going to make it interesting. I'm going to say, hi, gakusei desu, which means I am a student.
Kate, for today, is a student.
For today only. All right, and we ended the day But if you guys are interested, I'll show you the video later. We've run out of time. We did go to a taiko drum performance of a famous Japanese drumming group. There's a very cool performance by a group called Drum Tao. They have been performing for 30 years, and there's a lovely video from The Late Show with Stephen Colbert where they show off their amazing skills. And that is the end. Thank you guys very much.
And I've also left on this slide, there's a link to the KGK link tree, and they have a link to the JCC, the Japanese Conversation Club at the U of A. So I know some of you speak some Japanese and want to kind of practice it and like get back into it. You can reach out to them. They're very friendly people. I got way too busy after I contacted them and feel really bad because they haven't heard from me in like a year, but like they're very nice and they will like test your Japanese level and you can join at whatever level you're at. And they have Chinese and Korean conversation clubs too. And also, if you are interested in reading about any of the topics here, I would love to make a book list or recommend things for any of you. I wanted to do that for this presentation, but there simply was not time.
And I'll just make a last little note here. I'm sure many people know, but obviously at the end of this presentation, now join us in the DSC and Cameron Library, compete against coworkers, network with some library department crew members, and come play some Mario Kart World because of course Mario Kart is from a Japanese company, Nintendo. So thank you guys very, very much for coming. I'm so sorry that we've gotten so close to the end of the time. If you guys have any questions, please absolutely send me an email, send Marty an email, and thank you everyone for attending. Awesome. Thank you guys. Thank
Arigatou
you.
gozaimashita.
Arigatou gozaimashita.
Well
Take care,
done.
you guys. See you later.